about the process, about how you guys landed Alex, and kind of maybe how you discovered him, and why you think he'd be a good fit here at USF?
Yeah, I think for all the reasons I outlined in the remarks, and obviously things that you all just asked Alex, that's why I think he's the right fit. Obviously, someone that has been through turnarounds, someone that's an elite recruiter, someone that speaks to the relation to players and to the realness that I spoke of in my press conference a couple weeks ago. And when you combine that with just the excitement of a dynamic offense that's unlike any other, I just think when I think of everything that we need for the modern college football era of something that's which I define as being in the last 2 years since COVID, I think we've just got a perfect fit to kind of be everything we need to move forward. So, as I expressed in our press conference a couple weeks ago, I had a vision and a goal to have everything solidified, make the best decision possible by December 5th. We did that. We had a very open-minded and widespread search and discussion. Talked with coaches all over the country, got good feedback, got a chance to spread the good news about what's happening at USF with the investment and with the commitment. And as things kind of transpire and move through, and you evaluate people, and chessboard changes all the time when different jobs open, when people have games, when people have desires that they want to wait till a certain point in their season. That's when I knew that's why I knew that decision would come down this weekend, and that's what it ultimately came down. And so I'm elated that we've got Alex here. I think he's the right fit for what we need right now, and I look forward to having great success under his leadership.
When did you kind of hone in on him, decide he's the guy?
We first had discussions a couple weeks ago, and as true to what he said a minute ago, he wanted to wait till everything was kind of solidified with his season when they beat Vanderbilt in the final game, and then after that we were having discussions with many. So he was one, and as we continued to zero forth, and his interest was there, that's when we kind of zeroed in over the course of last week, and then really came to full agreement on Saturday morning.
Well, we spoke fairly aggressively about NIL and how modern college football, as you guys all put it, needs to work. Is it kind of a collective plan moving forward to figure that out? A guy who's been in a situation where it does make a difference immediately.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be. As I said a couple weeks ago, we've got to find a way for all of us. This is ourselves as administration, our coaching staff, our players, our fans. College football in the last 2 years is different than it's ever been. So you can think about all the great things that have worked in the past, and they might still work now, because I do agree with Coach that work ethic is still, I agree, you always want to outwork everybody. But when we look at things, it's still investment, it's still facilities, it's still culture, it's still kind of a player-first mindset more than ever before, I think, coming out of COVID. But then, hey, there's no doubt that the NIL and other things are all important. And when I looked at different coaches, both head and assistants across the country, I was really looking for someone who has not only done it, and it's one thing to do it when you have elite resources, it's another thing to do it when you've had to turn things around. And when I see the improvement of someone like Alex being on the staff that I saw at Iowa State, that I saw at Tennessee, kind of speaks for itself, and that's just why my gut tells me that this is the right combination of skills, passion, leadership, and knowledge of the current modern-day college football experience is why Alex will lead us to great success.
What makes him, though, the model of a modern or college coach in your mind?
Because he's done every single job that there can be done in college football. He's related to players for 20 years. He is real with them. He's true with them. That's what the players want. When I talk to players that he's coached before, when I talk to our own players about what they wanted real, they wanted authentic, they wanted the best experience possible, which is the top of our strategic plan, as you all know, from everything we do in the athletic department. And when you combine that with the excitement of a passion of how we want to play in the most dynamic offense in college football, that's why this is exciting. That's why it's a right fit for USF. When people talk about, hey, you want a Florida kind of, when you think Florida, you think scoring, you think high-powered things. That's what we want to do. That's what his offense would bring us. We want the feistiness and the fire of what we want from a passionate defense in terms of playing high octane there. And he brings all that. But when he brings it with a real authentic self, with the knowledge of what it takes to turn around programs, again, that's why it just makes perfect sense to me.
Michael, when you did your homework, obviously he's very lauded as a recruiter. What did you find out about him as a recruiter? What makes him so effective there?
Work ethic, again, for the most part, just never stops calling. As I said and joked in the press conference, I mean, I've been with him for the last 3 days, and he's been on the phone for all but 2 of them, I think, for the 2 hours he slept. So just an intense worker, and getting a relationship, just relationship skills of being, again, real, authentic, getting the core of what what the young men are looking for, and then delivering on that. And that's when I hear from other players and see the reaction from his players, even at Tennessee now, they feel that, they like that, and I know that's what our guys are seeking and want too. So I'm excited about how he'll treat our players and then the guys he's going to bring in because of that kind of true relationship-oriented mindset.
You mentioned the relatability aspect, and it's huge in recruiting and retaining, which is what you guys have, you know, notably said you achieved to do. You know, it appears that Alex is one of those guys that could walk into any school in the state, no matter area, and still be relatable to the kids based on his upbringing.
Right.
Just how important was that in you know, bringing him aboard?
Yeah, vital. Because kids want to see success that the coach has had, and that speaks for itself. He's one of the Broyles finalists when you're one of the top 5 of the 1,500 assistant coaches in college football. That speaks for itself on knowledge of the game. But when, again, just like he said earlier, the biggest recruiters in the country are not only coaches that work their tails off, but the biggest recruiters in the country are really the kids in the locker room, and they speak the truth as to how they were treated, how they are, how the authenticity is with the relationship, and to kind of create a true and real vision about how they're going to be used. Everyone just wants to know how am I going to fit in, what's my role, and let's stick to that. And I just think he has a really great ability to have those relationships, and his authentic leadership, I think, is just what makes him special.
Michael, some fans will look at his resume and look at Jeff's resume and say, these look just about the same to me. What's your response to that? Why will this be different?
Well, I understand the comparison, but I would say it's a pretty surface level analysis, because when you look at something that, again, you've got an ability of someone that's turned around programs multiple places, that has seen it from a lot of different vantage points. And again, it's not a perfect science in the coaching world. Some things work out extremely well and some things don't. But what I do know, the current defending national champion, his first coaching job was coming from a coordinator spot. I believe all but 2 of the American champions in the history of the American Athletic Conference got their first job coming from a coordinator position. So when you look at all that, it's like, come on, guys, we just landed the top-rated friggin' coordinator in the country, so let's stand up and celebrate. And if you want to look back at our own selves historically, there was a 39-year-old defensive coordinator from Kansas State that everyone was pretty friggin' high about, and he's the winningest coach in USF history. So let's get real. Let's be celebrating this success of this guy and look at someone that's real, wants to be here, he's passionate, he's going to treat the kids right, and he's fired up. So let's get behind him and still win some championships.
Michael, did you change anything in your approach in terms of the coaching search compared to the first time you did this with Jeff?
Just because of the time we had, we were able to talk to that many more people. When you have a week, you got to kind of make a decision, hone in, and go. In this case, it's like, hey, let's talk to a lot of people, let's evaluate a lot of things, let's just consider, and it allows you to go a little bit deeper, to be able to have more time to talk to players, to get feedback from a lot of different sources. Because yeah, you can look at data, you can look at analysis, you can kind of create surface level, comparisons. But when you dig deeper and have time to dig deeper, you make a bigger decision. And I think y'all know me well enough to say that whether you agree with me or not, I'm going to take the time to take as much information as I can and make what I think is the best decision for USF football at this moment. And with everything we've done, I've done that with everything we've done over the last couple of years. And I knew the first thing was to try to get more investment into this program. That's been achieved. To improve our facilities, that's been achieved. We've got a new on-campus stadium coming really soon. And now it was a matter of really finding what the best fit for the modern college football era is. And I think we've accomplished that with one of the hottest coordinators, but also one that's been in so many different places. So look at the track record in the conference nationally. There's a lot of damn good coordinators that are being highly successful at every level right now.
Have you guys talked about a timetable for this turnaround, whether that be bowl eligibility, a spot in the conference title game?
Well, our goal is to win the American each and every year. Obviously, when we look toward next year, we haven't talked about specific numbers, but what we have talked about, as I said in our press conference, that I'm so excited about, and the reason I have the CFP symbol on my flag, on my tie here today, is because in 2024, 12 teams are getting into that, and under that, as I said before, if we applied the future criteria to the current landscape, 6 of the 8 times that have existed so far, it would have been the American champion. So let's get after it and go do it. And that creates a legitimate pathway. It helps us recruit. It helps gets rid of the G5 moniker forever, because the only reason the G5 even existed was because there was a P5 in the analysis of how the bowl games are. Well, guess what? That's not even in the nomenclature anymore about how the CFP system's set up. So now it's about running your own race, talking about what you have at USF, talking about what you have in Tampa, and having kind of the staff and the players that are all aligned and fighting together to achieve those goals. So dominating the American is something that we have a long way to go, but I feel it's, when you look at, again, look where Tennessee was 2 years ago in February. look where Tennessee is today. And that's just one example. There's a lot of other folks that are turning things around too. Look, Tulane was 2-10 last year. They just won a championship. It took belief. It took great plays at the right time, and that's what I admire about what Tulane did too. So it can be done, and it will be done. And this is what I think is the right thing to move forward.